This sold out in minutes. It's not a phone, it's not a pair of limited sneakers, it's not Taylor Swift tickets. Shout out to the Swifties, it's a water bottle. And at first I thought this whole thing was ridiculous. In the gym you see people carrying gallon jugs, tracking electrolytes, even debating mineral content. But a designer water bottle that sells out is odd to me. This is the Messi Stanley High Precision Flow Mate system. Now there's a lot of engineering that went into this bottle. It feels like something that could have accompanied the Artemis team into space. But the deeper I looked into hydration culture, the weirder this all became, because it's not about water. It's about performance and our obsession with optimizing ourselves. So I spent the last week trying to understand why one of the greatest athletes in human history partnered with a company to make a water bottle, and why millions of people suddenly care so much about hydration. Welcome to the show. So as a young athlete, I swore by the 20-ounce Gatorade bottle. I took it to practice with me. That was how I got my hydration. But now, water bottles have become cultural objects, and I can't stop seeing them everywhere. At airports, in podcasts, in boardrooms, at youth baseball games, inside NFL facilities, on TikTok, at Earwine. It seems like it's starting to become about identity, where what you drink out of really signals how much you care about performance, or that you take your health seriously. And Messi might be the perfect person to attach to this idea, because when people think of Messi, they recognize his talent, but they also think about his precision, consistency, and longevity. So this really large bottle inherits some of those qualities, at least psychologically. And that's fascinating to me because it reminds me how much we attach meaning to objects. Athletes do it all the time. Lucky socks, favorite cleats, or certain headphones before games. We know that being good at sports is physical, but it's also very emotional. And then there's the engineering side, which is where this bottle becomes impressive. It's made from stainless steel, there's double wall vacuum insulation, collapsible handles, a fancy stopper with a trigger button, and it's all leak proof. And amazingly, it can keep liquids cold for days. And that's insane if you think about it, because humans have built a precision hydration system because our lives constantly demand performance. Which to me raises a bigger question. If hydration matters this much, are most of us actually dehydrated? For years we heard the same advice, drink 8 cups of water per day. But researchers now say there's no magic number that works for everyone. Now this is 8 cups of water, but how much water you actually need per day depends upon a number of factors. Your size, your age, your climate, what types of foods you eat. The National Academy suggests that men consume about 3.7 liters of fluids per day and women about 2.7. So in other words, most of us probably don't need to carry around a gallon jug of water. But if hydration is important, which brings me back to this bottle, it's not about how much water it actually holds. It's about whether or not it helps you drink more of it. So I think we all can agree that many parents, adults, and professionals are all running exhausted. And for years, I thought the answer was caffeine. More coffee, more energy drinks, more stimulation. But then I started to notice something as I was traveling to broadcast games. I started to feel terrible. I had brain fog, constant headaches, it was taking me longer to recover. And as someone who works in sports, I noticed firsthand just how important hydration is to sports teams. Staffs are monitoring hydration constantly because even mild dehydration affects reaction time. At the highest level of sports, tiny performance drops really matter. And I believe this is true for the rest of us as well. While we're not throwing touchdowns, we are leading meetings, raising children, making tough decisions, trying to stay focused. That's performance too. So I decided to track my hydration for 1 week, and almost immediately, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I barely drank water. Like at all. I'd have coffee, maybe another coffee, then I'd grab a Gatorade. Subconsciously, I was convinced I was hydrated. So I decided to start carrying this bottle everywhere, at my desk, in the car, during workouts around the house, and automatically I started drinking more water because of proximity and in association with one of the greatest football players in history. And the Messi association is important because I'm not sure I would have this system without his name attached to it. I have tons of Stanley mugs around my house. They sit in drawers, they sit in cabinets. All of them basically get zero use. But the performance system associated with this water bottle, it helps with motivation, but it's mainly about the environment it creates around you. It makes a good habit of drinking water easier. I think this is also why we obsess over things like standing desk or meal prep, sleep tracking, cold plunges. This stuff doesn't magically change our lives, but it can help change behavior. Although I will say there was a downside to this experiment. After the first few days, I was literally peeing every 20 minutes. So just keep that in mind, because that felt a little bit more like punishment than hydration optimization. When I looked around online, the hydration culture got even stranger. I discovered that water alone apparently isn't enough anymore. Now we have to consider electrolytes, sodium packets, hydration multipliers, trace minerals, performance blends. It feels like everyone online has become a hydration scientist. I spent hours reading Reddit threads where people were debating sodium intake as if they were competing for the Olympics. Now, some people swear by electrolytes, while others think it's just a wellness scam at play. But I do see both sides, because hydration is a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's sports drinks, supplements, recovery products, wellness subscriptions, billions of dollars built around one simple idea. People are exhausted and they're searching for energy. That's really what this is all about. We live in a culture where everyone is trying to perform at a high level all the time, and hydration is actually a really big part of that story, which to me explains why the Stanley trend exploded. Because it's not about the bottles. It's about feeling like you're becoming someone who has their shit together. And whether we want to admit it or not, most products work this way. People didn't buy Pelotons because they love stationary bikes. They bought into the identity attached to it. Same thing goes for Apple products, luxury watches, running shoes, high-end coffee machines, and yes, water bottles. Now, what I didn't expect going through this experiment is that the best water bottle for you isn't necessarily the one with the best specs. It's the one that helps you drink more water. And once you realize that, the psychology behind it becomes more interesting, because behavior change is about removing friction. If something is causing problems, you figure out a way to stop it. And if something is easy, visible, satisfying, we repeat it. As I've mentioned, this bottle is huge, but it also keeps the water cold forever. It has a grab handle, which makes it easy to carry. And because it's pink and loud, it's easy to notice and easy to reach for. Those tiny details matter. I think of it as the same way people work out more consistently when they actually like their gym clothes, or they use their iPad more because it feels premium. Objects influence behavior more than we think, and that's especially true in sports. Athletes are incredibly ritual driven. Many have the same warm-up, they listen to the same playlist, they have the same routines, because rituals create psychological readiness. And we as adults need to figure out similar systems, especially because we're living in a day of performance culture. So after all that, is this bottle any good? Well, yes, but it's ridiculously overbuilt. The insulation is incredible, the design feels premium, and the flow system is genuinely satisfying to use. And because it's associated with Messi, it feels intentional, like it was built for someone to optimize their performance. Look, you can drink water from a regular glass, but would it really be this fun? So I started this experiment wondering if this was just a trendy water bottle. And in some aspects it is. But it can help lead to better sleep and better recovery and clear thinking, and it's not that strange of a thing to carry around. Look, I'm getting older now, so I don't need massive breakthroughs in my hydration. What I do need, though, are tools that can fit into a broader system to make me healthier every day. And that's the best I can ask for. Thanks for watching.